I don't know about y'all, but Avatar: The Last Airbender literally changed the course of my entire life. I first watched it with a friend back when like Legend of Korra like first came out, and I'm so glad that my friend made me watch this show. It introduced me to Buddhist ideas and chakras and Hinduism and spirituality, and it taught me things like how there's no winning in war and how there's good and bad in everything. It started my obsession with Asian culture, particularly with Japanese. And it later ultimately led me down to discover anime, my love for anime and Eastern animation. And I'm even learning Chinese consistently for probably the last like 3 years. And I still have some basics of Japanese and Korean. And I really want to be a firebender. I definitely think firebending is the coolest bending style of the four. My husband, he likes earthbending because he likes brute force abilities, so earthbending is his preference. But I think firebending is the most elegant looking, and I like that I think firebending just looks cooler. But I chose to become a waterbender because, well, I cry a lot. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm mad. And so essentially, I'm practically already a waterbender. So that's when the idea was born. And I'm like, I've been learning how to animate a little bit. Not really. I honestly don't really have any idea how I'm going to be able to do this because I lack drawing abilities despite going to an art school and getting a fine arts degree and working as a motion graphics professional. But in my professional life, you don't need to know how to draw in order to make something look nice. So I'm pretty uncomfortable with this project. But, being uncomfortable is how you grow. So that's why I'm choosing to do it. I think it's going to teach me a lot of new things. Originally in high school, I actually wanted to be an animator, but my drawing skills just weren't there, and I was very happy when I found out about keyframe animation because it made it suddenly possible for me. But I really want to do this traditional. I really want to get good at traditional animation. I think some of my favorite motion graphics work have a combination of the two. Like they combine like the motion graphics with hand elements, and I think like that would really level up my practice. So I'm ready to do this. And at the very least, I'm sure I'll learn something from the experience. Before we get into this, if you don't know who I am, my name is Asha. I am a lot of things. I'm a lot of things, but I professionally, my bread and butter is motion graphics and graphic design. But I'm always trying to push myself creatively. I'm less attached to the medium that I do, and I'm more attached to the identity of being a creator in and of itself. And I am making this channel just to show you guys me win, fail, try new things, get new perspectives on what it means to be creative. I just hope me doing all of these weird, uncomfortable things will make you want to do weird, uncomfortable things. So if you're into that, please subscribe. So before jumping into like the actual animation part, I wanted to spend some time trying to like put my face, like self-insert myself into the Avatar universe. And I started with Magic Poser to start tracing. And if you feel a way about tracing, you can check out my last video where I talked about, or professionals use tracing frequently. And I just got a bunch of references from Pinterest, and I really just had a lot of fun with this part. I think a lot of the references are actually AI, which is kind of not great, but it still gave me like some inspiration for like what it could look like for like some outfits I could be wearing. And originally I had wanted to wear a skirt because I thought it'd be cool to be like fighting something and punching stuff while wearing like a flowy skirt or dress or something. But then, I think I was it felt like too much because I didn't want to have so many things that had to do like the follow through animation type thing. because I don't really know how to do that properly. So I swapped out the skirt for just this little floofy thing. In general, I think like this is supposed to be for animation, but I think I got a little carried away because I started adding like way too many details, and I really stopped thinking that about how this is going to be for and to be animated later. And you'll see how much I ended up kind of not using when I get there. Also, a big regret of mine is not taking the time to do the full character model or the, like the animator, like 360 character sheet that I've always seen, like out and about. I wish I did that. I think I spent way too much time doing this drawing, like way too much time on the drawing itself, when if I had just pulled back, maybe I could have spent time doing the front and like the side and the back, and you'll see how this ends up playing a big role later down in the video, because the main thing that I really struggled with when I wanted to be like a 2D animator was like consistency, and I realized like this character sheet thing can be a really good way to know exactly how things are supposed to look as the character moves in space. So huge regret. And now that that's done, it's finally time to animate. So each bending style is actually inspired by a different real-life Asian martial arts, and water bending is inspired by Tai Chi. So I found this YouTuber does Tai Chi for reference. Originally, I had clipped together like my favorite poses that she did from like different videos and made like a 17-second reference video for myself, but 17 seconds at 24 frames per second was totally not going to be feasible for the 1 week I wanted this project to be. So I ultimately scaled it back down to like a 5 seconds from just one clip. And I started by at first I did like just frame by frame, but then I was like, this is insane. So I started with just like the key poses. And then I did like the breakdown poses, like what I would consider like would go in between the two main keyframes. And I in betweened everything. And up until this point, I wasn't sure if this was gonna look alright, but this gave me the hope I needed to keep going. How do animators go from like the bouncing ball to like making actual anime. Like, I find the information in here on YouTube to be like so vast. Like, there's so like there's a lot of information for beginners, and there's a lot of information for like people who have like good drawing skills. Like at the far other end of the spectrum, like they're really good already, like professionals. But I have a hard time finding stuff for like people on the in between. And I'm thinking about picking up a course. I'm eyeing Alex's course. Let me know if you've tried it before. Alex Grigg, I think that's his name. Mainly because he got me with the you don't need to be able to draw to do well in this course, so I'm with it. I actually had like such a hard time with the water because I was like winging it and I didn't know what I wanted the water to do. And there's this point, you won't believe how many times I freaking sat there redrawing the water over and over and over again. And I tried to use these spacing lines, nothing was working. I kind of wanted the water to go in front of her, behind her being me. And yeah, I thought all these things, but eventually I ended up getting something that looked all right. That I felt happy with. But the water was so difficult. I don't know the proper way to do that. Like, I just did it straight ahead, but maybe I should have done it pose to pose, or maybe I did do pose to pose. Maybe I did like a mix. I don't really know. So at some point, after I had already cut it down to like 6-ish seconds, I cut it down even more because I didn't want this project to take a month and become an actual hermit trying to figure this all out. And I also removed like the fun flappy bit on my character illustration because it was just too much. And I don't really know how to manage like how the waves work and follow through stuff, and all of this was starting to make me crash out. So I cut my losses a little bit just for the sake of trying to have something that looked a little bit finished. So after getting the like initial rough animation done, I put the character into it, and originally this was supposed to be like a rough character fill, and then I would come back and clean everything up. At some point I decided this is it. This is gonna be the cleaned up. So here I am just doing adding the character bits to just the key poses just to see if it's, still working. And here is the result. What's great to know is that my drawings can be actual trash, but if the spacing is like on point, like, and the arcs are good, it's interesting how like your brain can just fill it in and let you like and make you think it's a good animation. By the way, I have a free newsletter for creatives. Like, if you're a creative, I'm a creative, we're all creatives. Join me in my little happy place. The link will be in the description. I just talk about creativity. I give away free things sometimes. I like to shout out people in my community, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So please join. The link is in the description. Bam. Character in between's done. Though this is before I decided to cut like the last bit. And then here's where I cut the last bit and also got rid of that floofy thing. And then finally I cleaned up the water. And we're really getting somewhere. So time for coloring. Yay. I think I said in my that tracing video, I think I said I enjoyed coloring because I found it very therapeutic, but I realized it's not as fun after when you're doing something that's a little bit longer. I think I'm gonna start training my husband to become a colorist and just fill in stuff for me because I can't do it. I am tired. And we're finally here at the home stretch. I'm just cleaning up the water so it looks like what I think water should look like. And um then I'm like trying to bin Adobe into the trash can forever. So I've been only using iPad apps. So I'm trying to like figure out how I can composite this thing without using After Effects. So I could have used CapCut, but I didn't. I put it in this app called Waylo, which is also my video editing app, and added like a Gaussian blur, and I think I added multiply to like the water. I wanted to add like a brightness rim light to her like the background. I mean to like the edges, but I didn't want to sit there and like frame by frame add a rim light. I don't know how other else I would be able to do. I mean, I've seen people do it in After Effects where they like double it and like I tried all these other things. And now I'm done. This is as far as I'm gonna go with it. I am not adding a face. That is way too much work. I'm done. I'm calling this done. Yay! So yeah, animation takes so much more time than I ever thought it could. In the motion graphics world, I can make a 30-second animation in like probably a week, but I had to limit down this animation. Originally, I intended to make this thing in just 1 week, and I was gonna do a whole 17 seconds or something of of traditional animation, and it humbled me really quick. The process, I can't believe how tedious the process is. Like coming from the little bit of programming knowledge I have, I just feel like there's so much potential to like make this process less painful. Like if anything, like with AI and stuff, and I'm not a doomer when it comes to AI. I think AI is gonna help us a lot. But I think one thing in particular that AI can really help us with is like the coloring process or like something like that. Like, can it do 90% of the coloring for us and then we can come in and fill out like whatever gets wrong? I think that would be such a helpful program, and I think it's totally possible. And I also learned that I love the Eastern anime style so much, which is crazy because it takes so much longer, and I still really want to be able to create like a full small anime style project someday. But I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but we'll see. It also made me realize like after going through this and like now when I was rewatching Assassination Classroom, and it made me realize like how much of anime is actually like still frames or like they're just moving just the background or just an eye blink. I never noticed all these little tricks, and I think if I approach this again, I might be able to do a lot more. Like maybe I can do a 20-second project, but I would have to sit there and like, how can I limit the project but also still make all the interesting parts like really interesting, like anime does it? I think I learned a lot about that. I also learned that I need to practice figure drawing, get back to the basics. Used to do this back in college a lot, but wasn't really my favorite thing. And I was always like, why do I need to do this? Now I'm doing a lot of character animation stuff. Like a lot of my motion graphic stuff includes a character a lot more and more these days. So yeah, joke's on me. But yeah, I definitely need to get back into gesture drawing, especially like what do you do after the gesture drawing is done, like that type of stuff. Definitely learning the figure would be great again. And I thought it was super fun, like how much you can get away with in animation. Like the one thing that really scared me away from animation is that I always thought you had to be like perfectly consistent or whatever, but I just found out like it's really fun that you're able to actually read an animation without it being a perfect drawing. Oh, and I found out character sheets exist for a reason. They're very useful for animation. I see why, because as you can see, like in my animation, I couldn't figure out what I wanted the back of the shirt to look like, which is why it's completely broken. So yeah, next time I gotta do the full turnaround of my character before I get into the animation. You know, I'm really happy I did this. I'm a kinesthetic learner, like I'm a visual learner, but I'm really a kinesthetic learner. Kinesthetic learner? I'm really like a hands-on learner. Like I need to do stuff. Like I can't start with like all the boring stuff. Like I have to. I mean, yes, I've animated the bouncing ball and like all of that type of stuff. But like I learn the most when I do these like stupidly hard projects, because then I learn all the tips that the pros give you. Now I kind of like know why they exist. You know, I feel like it's like in math class, like when teachers are like, I don't know, like you can like they say multiply this, flip the fraction, and there you go, you got the answer, but it's like why? You know, like but like I would rather go through like the deep knowledge of why that works and the theory behind it than just be told the tip and like get a surface level of it, if that makes sense. So I'm really happy I did this. I think the result's all right, but yeah, overall it took me about 2 weeks to get here. 2 weeks of like doing it all day to get to this point. But yeah, I hope you will subscribe and join the newsletter and go animate something that you think you can't animate, and you might be surprised, or you'll learn something and can do something even better next time. So bye.